All right. Well, welcome everybody to the fall 2024 edition of our Web and Software Capstone presentations. Thank you for joining us all. We've got three groups up for you today. So we're going to start off with our Vehicle Vault group, move on to our Owl Books group in the middle, and then round out things with our WCTC Health System team. I'm going to stop my presentation and turn it on over to the first group. All right, Vehicle Vault, when you are ready, take it away.
So good afternoon. My name is Emma. I'm a part of the Vehicle Visionaries group that worked on the Vehicle Vault application. For our itinerary today, we're going to do a quick introduction of the team before jumping into some of our business objectives and other questions. Then we're going to do a mini demo of the original Vehicle Vault application before demoing our final product. So meet the Vehicle Visionaries. Our team consists of 3 developers that contributed to our application: Thomas, Zach, and I. Thomas held the title of Scrum Master, meaning he ensured that the team understood the Scrum framework and its principles, values, and practices. Zach and Thomas took on a lot of the functionality, where I took on a lot of the styling.
Good afternoon. My name is Thomas Barrett, a developer on the Vehicle Visionaries team, working in the Vehicle Vault application. Throughout the development process, I learned quite a bit of valuable experience in database management and data flow, how to maintain effective structure, and how to manipulate data from a database to a user interface. I guess some of the hardest parts for me were working with TypeScript, a superset of JavaScript, which is a programming language. And because TypeScript was not taught throughout our program, it was a steep learning curve, particularly with strict typing. And what that means is an object has to be defined, and you have to define what it can and cannot do. And that was kind of a bit of a steep learning curve with some complexities, but pretty important, and was probably the most difficult part of the development process. I would say my favorite part and what was most rewarding was being able to implement new features, being able to contribute to a new application, watch it grow over time, and to really add a lot to the user experience and the final product.
My name is Emma Nymphius. By working on this application, I learned how to better utilize Beautify, which is an open source library or UI library, meaning it helps to make websites look a little prettier. I also learned how to more effectively refactor and update code. This involves me saving old files, old commits, becoming more comfortable with the command line and stashing content. The hardest part, I would have to say, was TypeScript and using GitHub as a team. GitHub is a platform that allows developers to create, store, manage, and share code. And since I've used GitHub independently, working with merge conflicts on a team level was definitely interesting, but it was great to learn. And honestly, that was one of my most favorite parts, is being able to work on a team that communicated well while working through those merge conflicts. So I appreciate the struggle.
Look at Zach's blank. Well, what I had learned, honestly, was a great deal. Working with a team as opposed to my internship where I was the guy. I was the IT guy. And trying to implement a bunch of workflow. And that might be something you learn after school, but we did that. I learned some front-end things with WordPress. And across this project, I learned that it's a lot easier to create something from the ground up as opposed to grabbing something that somebody had already implemented. The hardest part, TypeScript. It's cool. TypeScript is pretty strongly typed and stuff, but if you describe everything as any type, we can have some problems. My favorite part, I found out about type assertion. So a couple weeks before the end of it, I learned how to get around TypeScript and implement things that way if I could go back out or refactor this from the jump. But it's been overall a great experience.
So, our business problem. WCTC struggles with decentralized vehicle tracking and maintenance processes, resulting in inefficiencies and difficulty in managing vehicle information and related paperwork across multiple departments.
What does our app provide? The Vehicle Vault application streamlines vehicle tracking and management, centralizing information to enhance efficiency and coordination across WCTC departments.
So our application's functionality, we are able to view detailed information about vehicles, manage vehicle status and generate detailed reports, add and edit vehicle records to maintain up-to-date information, add new users and modify their roles and access levels to ensure proper permissions.
Reasoning for working on the project. To learn more about TypeScript, the opportunity to work with Vue 3, the chance to improve a new application, the chance to implement big features in a new application, and to solve a large business problem for the college.
Let's start with the original application and its demo. So this is the original application's landing page or starting page. On the top right, you can find our navigation pane. We have a list of vehicles that are displayed in the table. Please note that the image in the bottom right, highlighted in orange, that image shows that there should only be 10 vehicles displayed, meaning the functionality is not implemented properly. The original application search functionality isn't working yet either. Additionally, we have an add vehicle button, but we'll get to that shortly. On the left side of the screen is a mobile view of the landing page. Unfortunately, some of the list fields are missing, but we'll fix that in the updated version. And the add vehicle button, if we select that, it'll navigate us to the add vehicle page. This will have significant style changes in the updated version. And originally, the add vehicle functionality was not implemented, where we were able to implement that with the updated code. This is the vehicle details page. This can be found by selecting a vehicle from the vehicle list. There are significant style changes and other implementations that we made in our updated version. And this is the admin portal. The functionality for this page was pretty good from the start. However, we weren't able to access the settings or contacts page, which we did allow access later on, and we implemented some more functionality, which you'll see. We are now going to demo our updated Vehicle Vault application.
This is our updated vehicle inventory vehicle list. As you can see, it's quite different from the original. We have implemented quite a bit, including the ability to add images to a vehicle. So as you can see, there are thumbnails of images in the left-hand side. We have also implemented a functioning search bar. So now we can search for a specific vehicle make, a specific vehicle type. We can search for a vehicle by year or by current status. So the search functionality now works. We also have included proper pagination, and what pagination is the ability to view items in a page-oriented view, so we can see a specific amount of vehicles per page, and we now see a proper 10 vehicles per page, or we can change the amount of vehicles that are viewed in the page.
Additionally, something that was important for our product owners was getting some report functionality built into the program. On the top of the vehicle list, you can find a drop-down menu with different report type options. I implemented some styling so that once a report type is selected, the button for exporting a CSV file or the report or of the report is accessible. So we have the CSV report, which will download the report to your PC. We also have a button that displays the report in your, or like on your computer screen. So that is what that looks like. And please note that all of the content in the report mirrors what is in the vehicle list, meaning if you search for a specific type of vehicle, all of the specific type vehicles will be displayed in that report.
So when you look at the status column here, we implemented a status framework which handles vehicle actions. And what that means is when a vehicle is added to the system, you get a status flag showing the risk management department that a vehicle has been added. If a vehicle is missing its insurance documents or needs insurance, it gets a status flag showing that it's missing its insurance documentation. Or if a vehicle's information is edited, it shows a status flag that the vehicle's been modified. And you can see as well that if a vehicle is disposed, it gets a disposal flag. And what disposal is for vehicles in the system is whether a vehicle is transferred between departments, if a vehicle is auctioned or sold or given back to the donor who donated it to the college for use. There's many different types. Vehicles don't get deleted from the system, but they can be disposed. And they, as an admin level user, they have the ability to clear vehicle status, and we've implemented the little notifications to remind risk management or whoever is handling the vehicle statuses that to make sure that the documents have been uploaded or to check what information's been edited on a modified vehicle, or if a vehicle's been disposed or whatever the other action is to make sure that the documents or the departments that need to know about the action have been notified. But an admin level user can clear the status and remove that status from a vehicle if the actions have been satisfied, whether it's upload a document or handle the paperwork that has to happen with a vehicle. This is a vehicle detail page. So when you select a vehicle, you can get more information about it as opposed to the list view. As you can see, Emma has implemented some drastic style changes compared to the original version. We have implemented the ability to upload images for vehicles. So we have a panel. It's the image uploading panel. And you can select an image from your file system to upload for a vehicle. You can preview that image before uploading it. You can upload the image, or you can replace an image. We've also included an image carousel so you can cycle through images that have been uploaded for a vehicle. We have also included the ability to add documents to a vehicle. So you can open up the documents panel. You can select a document from your file system and preview it. And then you can view documents associated with a vehicle. So these would be insurance documents or any other important document related that needs to be uploaded or attached to a vehicle. You can cycle through vehicle documents and replace a specific document as information gets updated for a vehicle. So if a new insurance provider, that new insurance document needs to be uploaded, you can replace the old one with the new one. We've also included vehicle information that wasn't included before in the original app, and we've included the ability to add notes to a specific vehicle. We also included for admin level users the ability to edit a vehicle's information. So an admin level user will see this manage info button, and upon clicking it, will get a modal or a window that opens up with additional information. And in this window, you can edit the vehicle's information, whether it be that the vehicle needs insurance, or if the vehicle's being disposed of, we can select what type of disposal action occurs and add some additional information to log an audit log of the vehicle disposal. We can go into the admin portal and we can look at the administrator portal of the application.
Yeah, so not much of the admin portal has changed outside of some code cleanup and minor style changes. However, I would like to note that you're able to access the settings and contacts page. If we If we go into the contacts page, we are able to see some of the functionality implementations that Zach had made. So we have a contacts list, which can be filtered via the search bar, like Thomas was doing. We can enter a name or phrase that will change the items in the list. We're able to edit or modify a contact by selecting the edit contact button under the edit column. Perfect. We're able to modify them and save changes. We're also able to add notes to a contact. We can edit notes that are already saved within the database, or we can click to add new notes. We can add a contact with the add contact button, and this will display a little pop-up or modal, which will allow you to add a new contact to the list and database. So that concludes the demo of our updated Vehicle Vault application. I wanted to thank you all for spending your time with us, and we are open to any further questions if you may have them.
I actually want to ask Kate and Mark if they'd like to say a couple words about what it was like to work with the team this semester, and then we'll open it up to the team for questions.
Kate, ladies first.
Thanks, Mark. I really enjoyed working with this group of students this session. You guys were so professional. You came prepared. You asked good questions. I feel like you were able to address the really priority needs that we had. So I really enjoyed working with you guys, and I appreciate everything you guys did this session. This has been a huge jump forward for us.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
You know, I agree. And, you know, we provided feedback and they took the feedback and they incorporated the feedback. So that was really impressive. I guess my only complaint is we can't use it yet.
You can use it now if you want, Mark. You're in charge. Go ahead.
It's just so everybody knows we probably have 200 plus vehicles across campus. And so just to keep track of that many vehicles and all the stuff that happens between programs on spreadsheets was almost impossible. So we're really excited about this, streamlining this process for Kate's area and for my area. So great work, everybody.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
I'll be working with ITS to figure out how to get at least something for you guys to test by January.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Thank you.
Nikki was the one that told us they can't use this. Don't let them use this. Blah blah blah. So
Throw me under the bus.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, sorry. Does anyone have questions for the team? Or comments or anything?
Tyler,
I have a technical question.
Sure.
You mentioned that, yeah, you learned how to work around TypeScript. Why didn't you just remove it and do regular JavaScript?
I'll tell you right now. Nikki told us in the beginning, you may want to refactor this. There was one team prior to us that had to work with this. It took me halfway through the semester to realize, oh my God, TypeScript is a problem if everything's any type. And then eventually I learned type assertion. But that's kind of the way it goes in hindsight. I would go back and refactor this from the jump.
Yeah, I would say that I did make a solid push to make some corrections to how TypeScript is being utilized in the application right now. And I have left some detailed notes and some things for the next team to come in and enhance this application and really utilize type safety because it's very powerful and really holds data from breaking things in the future if it's done correctly. And it would have taken us a lot of the semester to go back and just revert to vanilla JavaScript, but the implementations that were done on our part, I think, lead to a very good foundation for this app to be used for the business case that we presented.
Okay. So when you said you learned how to work around TypeScript, it maybe wasn't necessarily that. Maybe you just learned how to work within TypeScript.
No,
That's
I
correct.
got completely around it. Type assertion.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a bit of pass in the buck, so to speak, going on with the TypeScript utilization currently. When you label something as any type, you're kind of just passing the buck down the road by allowing any data to pass through when really we want something not to be able to pass if it's not, say, of a type of vehicle or of a type contact or whatever the type of object may be. So there's a little bit
Right.
of passing the buck with any type going on, which I've laid a foundation for the next group to come in and hopefully move some of that into solid type assertion.
Okay.
Did that
Thank
answer
you,
your
Well, that's
question?
great. It does. It does. It was just, it sounded like you were using TypeScript, but then also just doing any and getting around everything.
There's
And
a
that's
little bit
how it
of
was
both.
the whole time because I mean everything was any, and halfway through I'm like, we should have fixed this, but didn't have enough time, and it took me a whole nother month to realize, wait, we can go around it. And getting things from the back to the front should not be that difficult. It was about 75% harder than it needed to be.
Which
But as
was,
the app grows,
I was gonna say, which
sorry.
is your another learning experience for you.
Yes, yes. But as the app grows and more data gets put in here, I think at the end of the day, the TypeScript is going to be important with keeping everything where it needs to be and keeping data passing where it should go. And
I'd agree. Thomas explained to me why TypeScript is good. I still hate it. And I got around it. But he told me why it's a good thing to have if done properly. And that's not what we experienced. And I eventually, 13 out of 16 weeks got around it. But it was, why would you have TypeScript, but everything's any type?
so are there any
How
other
to,
questions? Anybody else have any other questions?
Great
Yeah,
job you guys did.
Nice
I
guys.
can ask.
Nice job, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
team.
you. Thanks for everyone's time. Thanks for
Wait,
checking out our app.
someone else had a question.
Yeah. I can ask
thank
something
you,
real quick
Alex.
about that. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, it looked like you guys were able to accomplish quite a lot in trying to get around the TypeScript situation. Were you able to accomplish everything that you wanted to set out to do, or are there things that you wish you were able to get to?
Yes, great question. So we did accomplish the bulk of the product backlog. We had some items that were on the hope to list that we didn't get to and are going to be left for the next semester team. But we did accomplish, I would say, 90 to 95% of the items that we wanted to, and implemented solutions, I think, for the product owners that are going to fit their business need.
I'll follow up with that. Yeah, I mean, as far as the uh backlog went, I was like, wait, we're about to accomplish this in half the semester. The only thing that I would have hoped to have implemented maybe would have been a maintenance table with a maintenance, and you get there. But all things considered, I'm satisfied.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
All right. Nice work, team. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Owl Books team, you are up next. So take it away whenever you're ready.
Okay. It's being pulled up right now. We're making sure everything's logged in, so when we go to do the demo, there's not a stop right in the middle of presenting. Yeah. All right. Screen. Yep, screen share. Such. You can see it. All right. All right. Good. Yeah. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And we would like to show the project we've been working on this semester, which is Owl Books. So to start about our team, we are all web and software developer students here. My name is Archie Zwerline. I am the Scrum Master for this team, which means I was responsible for facilitating the meetings within our team each week for discussing the project. And also, one of my duties was facilitating meetings with our product owners, though that ended up being more of a group effort on our team. And I was also a developer writing code for the app.
Hello, I'm AJ Memel. I also was a developer on this team, helping writing code.
Hello, my name's Rodolfo Carmen, and I was also a developer on the Owlbooks team.
And their product owners were Sarah Drutzer and Joel Robertson from the library, and Ali Jerger, who is our associate dean. And they gave us input and direction on how we should approach this app and what tasks we should do.
What is the purpose of Owlbooks? Owlbooks is a web application that WCTC faculty could use to request material for their classes and for them to be sold at the WCTC bookstore. There are three different kind of roles Owlbooks use. One is a requester, which is someone that requests course material for their needs. Another one is a department admin, which is able to approve requesters' course materials in their own department. And another one is an admin, which is a super user, which is able to do everything a requester and department admin do and more.
So there are four main reasons we were working on this app. One was to upgrade the outdated underlying technologies it was using. We also needed to implement greater security to prevent bad data from getting in. We needed to add additional features to the app, and we wanted to build upon the user experience and make the app easier to use. So to start with updating the underlying technologies, the Owlbooks used .NET 6 for the backend. The backend of the application means all of the code and data that runs in the background, the stuff that you don't see, but runs on the web server. So we updated that from .NET 6 to .NET 8 because version 6 is no longer supported as of just November, actually. So since it's not receiving updates, that is a security risk, and we needed to update it. It was the same deal for Vue and Vuetify, which was the tool we used the app used for the appearance of the website and how you would interact with it, which also means the front end.
Yeah.
It was on Vue and Vuetify version 2, but is no longer supported as of last December. So now we have upgraded them to version 3.
In addition, there, apart from just upgrading the technologies, which leads to greater security and makes it easier for the teams after us to build up upon them, we implemented greater security in some other ways. First off, we blocked access to certain pages that, depending on the roles of users, so making sure that users who are requesters can't see admin pages. We also implemented other blocks both in the front end and in the back end, making sure that not just the differences between roles, but between courses. So if someone's assigned to something and they get changed, that they still can't see the things that they've been removed from. We also updated the way the export was done in this case before, even though it wasn't quite working, it was having access for department admins, which are limited to just their departments, actually the ability to export from the entire of all courses, and we limited that down so that they could only do so for their departments. Yeah, so we sought out to also add additional functionality. The previous groups that had worked on this made a really good foundation and did a great job. So we just sought to add on top of that. We were able to finish a historical view page. That's so that you can see, as the name suggests, previous offerings of the courses that you're assigned when that wasn't an option before, only current courses from the term. We also implemented a term lockout system. This system is there so admins can assign when a course ends, and when that course is reaching its end date, it warns users on a banner at the top of the screen, letting them know it's coming to a close. And then once that date is reached, it still allows the visibility from before, but prevents actions from being taken to make sure that deadlines are enforced and changes can't be made after a term lockout is actually done. We also made changes to the export. We fixed an issue where it was working on the development site, but not the published site that was being accessed by users. And that meant that to get an export, which since this data is used by other systems, getting that export is useful for implementing between and switching data between different systems for recording and stuff, that now department admins and admins can go in and get that information and serve it themselves instead of having to send in a manual request to fix. I also simplified it and added more fields to the export to avoid additional processing.
In terms of the user experience, we started with adding pagination to the app. Pagination means that when you have a large set of items to give to the user on a page, instead you'll only give them a small set of those items, and the user can click on a different page to get a different set of them. Think if you are shopping online at Target, Walmart, or Amazon, any of those, you would you would search for an item and you would get a page of results, and you can click on the next one to get the next group of items. So that's what pagination is. This greatly improved the load time for some of the pages. We also improved the search bar on some pages. So when you refresh the page after typing in the search, you don't lose the search results. It still remembers what you had. And if you search something else and decide you want to go back, you can still navigate back and find the old search results as if it were any other web page. We also added new buttons to make it easier to do some tasks. So for example, if you click on the course card and you'd have to go to that page to reopen the course, you can now just click a button on the course card itself, and you don't have to click on all these links before finding it. We renamed some navigation links to make them more representative of what they lead to. So course list is now called requisitions, and that should be easier to understand for its purpose. And we made some improvements to form validation, which we will be demonstrating in our technical demo later. Form validation means that when you are filling out a form on a website that you would have to submit and you have incorrect data in it, or you're missing entries in some fields, it won't let you submit it, and it will tell you what's wrong with it so that you can fix those errors before submitting it. In terms of challenges we faced, the biggest issue was the outdated tooling, which we set out to fix. The .NET, which we used on the back end, upgrading that was actually pretty painless. It worked almost out of the box, and we did not have to make many changes to the code. In terms of the front end, however, we used a lot of different tools that depended on Vue for their functionality. So when Vue changed the way they do everything, a lot of these libraries changed the way they do things too. So we had to fix almost every file in the front end part of the code base. This also led to two additional issues. One was that some of these tools became incompatible with each other in their updates, or there just weren't modern versions of them. So we had to find alternative ways to do some things. And there were even a few features we had to give up on implementing for now that would have improved the page load time. Library documentation was also an issue. These libraries were actually pretty well documented, but it wasn't tailored to upgrading from an old version of the tool to a new version. It's more so for making a new app. So it was a bit more difficult to navigate than I would have liked, but yeah.
What we learned as a team, we learned how to collaborate in a single project workflow. We also learned how to prioritize important tasks and broke them down into smaller tasks. And we learned how to build upon an already created project. And then we listened to our product owners' requests and we turned them into tasks to be completed later on. And we use project management to help divide up the tasks between all our team members.
So now we would like to demonstrate some of the changes we've made to the app. So to start, this is the first page you see when you load in. I'm actually going to refresh because it has to re-authenticate. So you can see there is pagination here. You can click on different pages and you'll get different results at a time. And it loads about 20 items at a time per page, and it shows how many are displayed here. And if you search for something, it still has the same behavior, just with filtered results. And you can still navigate back and keep the search result and go back to that previous page. And if you refresh the page, you still don't lose that data. In terms of the approvals page, you can now sort these courses by whether they're submitted or not by a requester. I forgot to mention, this is the admin view that I'm on right now. And normally to reopen a course that has been closed, you would have to click on it and click here to reopen it. You can now just do it from here, and that makes it a little easier if you need to do that. And if I switch over to the requester view and refresh the page, I can see that the course is now open here. I can submit it, and I can go to the materials page here. When adding a new material, I can fill out this form with some test data here. And if I click save, since I haven't entered an ISBN number, it'll tell you you haven't and that you probably should, but if you if you click go back, then you can do it. But since it's technically not required, you can still save anyway. If you do that, it'll just save the test data here anyway. For you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so one of the big changes that we implement things is in the admin tools. And yeah, so we simplified the way of downloading, having this export as well as fixing it so it can be self-service as before. This downloads the NERM and things are depending on what's selected as a CSV, so that can be opened in other programs. A big thing though was the term lockout feature, which was a heavily requested item for this. So right now there's not one set, but as an admin, you can set one in the future. In the past, click OK, apply, and what that does is for the admins or department admins and requesters, it warns them that it's coming up, so it's closing in 8 days. That's a nice reminder for them to get it in, and then when that date actually does occur and it's in the past, it actually blocks their access to making changes. So admins can still make changes, and department admins and requesters can still do all the things they could do before, as in viewing the data, but they're no longer to actually make changes, and it warns them. So that just helps enforce deadlines. Things, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'd like to thank you for coming along with this, and if you have any questions.
I'm going to
Good job, AJ.
I'm going to ask Joel, if I saw he's on the call, if he would like to say a few words about working with the team this semester.
Thank you. So can you hear me? I'm not sure.
A little
You're a
quiet,
bit
but yeah.
quiet, but
Okay. So yeah, it was really great working with the team. It was my first opportunity to work with OWL in general. It was quite a learning experience for me, but it seems like all the programs and changes that we put in place, or that we asked to be put in place, most of them were updated and changed. And I think that all the new functionalities that we have are going to be a great help. So I really appreciate everybody's work on that. I know that you had some hiccups along the way with some of the back end things that we weren't obviously aware of or can't see, but I appreciate all the effort that was put into making all that happen for us. Yeah, and I guess just overall, just want to thank you for all the work that you put in, and we appreciated, Sarah and I both appreciated being included, in the process, and the opportunities to meet with you in person, quarterly or whatever it was that we would come over and talk to you about what was going on.
Thank you, Joel.
it was good working with you too. So
Thanks.
thank you.
Any questions for our team?
So I am curious. I mean, we did talk about it when we would meet one-on-one, but we're other than the back end issues that you ran into that you expressed at the times, were there any other kinds of things that you learned along the way that you were surprised that you encountered, or any challenges that were kind of a little bit different?
We've got a few, but I'd like to start with one of the things. The previous team mentioned it as well with the Git conflicts. That's just because we have multiple people working on this project at the same time. When we wanted to make changes, we needed to make sure that when we made changes, they didn't conflict with each other. And the backend items, particularly the pruning some of the backend ends, and then the big front end things that Archie spearheaded and put a ton of work in. They were really big changes because they were affecting the entire project. So being separated for such a long time with the code, getting them actually put back together where we weren't stepping on each other, where we were stepping on each other's toes a little bit to get it all working together was a big challenge, and learning how to navigate that and break things into smaller pieces that could be implemented sooner, so we didn't make it harder for ourselves down the road was a big learning process.
Yeah, that definitely was the learning process. There were a couple of times where like I got something done and then I sat down the next day and pulled the latest version of our code, and I was like, where are the changes I made yesterday? Like, but despite that, we were able to figure that out. I think for me, um, oh man, I think the biggest issue for me was that so I did a lot of the front end updates and specifically with Viewtify, which is you can think of it as how we like decorate the website, make it look pretty. Um, in their new version, a lot like everything was different. Like almost nothing was left the same in terms of how you do stuff. And it it was a process trying to get the site to look the way it did before. Even some of the like figuring out how to set the colors took me a couple of days because I mean I also hadn't used Viewtify before this, so that was a learning experience on its own. But,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, it's not, I mean, it's a very functional tool. It's not really pretty,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's not about that, right? I mean, we want it to work well for everybody that's.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I think if it looks good, that makes it easier to use because then your eyes are drawn to like where you're supposed to go. And
There,
that's
since people are already using this application, we wanted to make sure that even when things came through and broke everything, that things still looked the same, so it'd be
yeah.
familiar, so you guys
Yeah.
wouldn't have to relearn how to do things. And a lot of work
Mhm.
was put into actually keeping it looking the same even after things were changed and broke. So
Yeah.
Okay.
And as a longer time user, I appreciate that because we only go in as ADs and we use it, just sort of 3-ish times a year, and instructors the same thing. So, having it, if there was a whole interface change, that can be something that,
Right.
because let's be real. When I ask my instructors to do this, the majority of them do it at the very last minute because it's not a high priority for them. So then if everything's changed,
Right.
it's certainly a challenge.
Right. We don't want to deter anybody from doing it.
No, Joel, we want to make sure that we get it to you
Right.
on time without you coming back and yelling at us for not doing it.
We don't do a lot of
Um,
yelling, but yes.
no, some gentle nagging.
Yes.
But as someone who does use this, and as you listed me as a stakeholder, I had very little input in this particular semester, because a lot of the work that was really the higher priority work was getting the everything updated to current tech and really addressing the issues that Joel and Sarah had. But one of the things that I want to compliment the team on is your communications about where you were on things, your status reports, your sprint reviews, all of those things were just hands down the best I've seen out of anyone who's come through on this project, this particular project. Even though I wasn't, the things that were maybe on my list of things were lower priority, which I agree they should have been. Um, I knew exactly what was going on the project, and I'd get those emails, I think, on that fairly regular basis, and I could look at them and I knew what was going on. And I really appreciated that. So really nice job on that aspect of it. I know that's not the cool, fun stuff that you get to work on, but it's some of the most important stuff as a stakeholder who's looking to stay informed on what's going on projects.
thank you.
Thank you, Allie.
We would have time for one last question if someone has one.
It's not even a question, but is this Archie's computer? Did you change your cursor?
I did right
Hey,
before
look at
you reminded me.
you! I
So
mean, I almost missed the old one, but even I couldn't recognize the enemy it's from. But look at you heeding criticism, and note that cursor's different.
Thanks, guys.
Good
Good
job, guys.
job.
Nice job, team. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And last, but
Here.
certainly not least, Archie, if you want to stop.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm on
perfect.
multiple desktops right now. I have to. Okay, there we go.
Awesome. So we have our hit team up last, our help, WCTC Medical Center application. Kathy, whenever you guys are ready, you can take it away.
All right. Share. Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Bauer, and with my team, we will be presenting the WCTC Electronic Health System Project for Fall 2024. Our agenda for the presentation is an introduction to the team and the application. We'll discuss the purpose of our work and any challenges and learnings we had along the way. And then we'll do an application demonstration followed by a question and answer. As I said, I'm Kathy Bauer. I'm a web and software development student, as are all my team members. I was also the Scrum Master. The project tends to follow the Agile program management methodology, and as Scrum Master, I make sure that the team members understand the expectations within that framework and help them break down large items called epics into small tasks, and I facilitate communication between the team and the product owner.
Hi, my name's Jake Carlin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anthony Framke.
Hi, I'm Ethan Jaworski, and our product owner is Angela Lee. She is the Director of the Health and Information Technology and Medical Coding Specialist programs.
The introduction to the application. Students in the WCTC Health and Information Technology Associate Degree Program and the Medical Coding Specialist Technical Diploma Program need exposure and practical experience with electronic tools typical of those used in industry. Commercially available packages like Epic have prohibitively expensive licensing and maintenance fees. So sometime back, Angela Lee initiated the request to the WCTC IT department to build an application to serve the students' needs, with the goal of adding functionality in subsequent semesters. So the value of the application is that it saves money for WCTC by eliminating expensive fees, while at the same time providing exposure and experience to electronic health record systems for the healthcare students. In addition, it provides practical experience for the software development students in providing results for a customer, working within an agile program management framework, developing code within a team and minding version control, and working on legacy applications. The primary purpose of our work this semester was to add a whole new module called disclosures. This type of electronic record management is currently taught using a separate third software application, which is being sunsetted this month. Adding the entire module this semester allows a smooth transition starting with the spring semester.
Sorry, I was muted there. Next up, we are individually going to highlight some of the challenges and what we learned this semester. So I'll jump right into my favorite part of the experience. That was for me, streamlining the user experience. I'll give you a little detail on that. At one point, my form would have forced the user to redirect to other pages to add data to the form. So things like adding a patient representative, a requester, would have forced the user to navigate away. I was able to make this a one-stop shop, so you don't have that redirect anymore when you're adding data to the form. Moving on, the front end and back end collaboration was another favorite part of mine. Front end being, I'll call it the code that the user will interact with, and back end being the code that will, save things to the database, update, delete, or remove, that sort of thing. This project forced me to deepen my understanding of how that all interacts with each other. And I think my patient search functionality is a great example of that. Going into what I learned this semester, I definitely learned to embrace iterative development. Kathy mentioned epics. This request form was an epic for sure. I tried breaking that down, but I think throughout the semester, I was still trying to do too much in our 2-week sprint time allotments. So about halfway through the semester, I started breaking this task down even further, and I think that helped me out a lot. I also learned proper management of my modal field validation conflicts, a modal being, I'll call it a pop-up window that will allow the user to fill in data to add to the form. Long story short here, I didn't write the code for the modals correctly, and that was forcing the form to not submit requests properly. For the hardest part of this experience for me, I would say it was the entity relationships and data mapping. So in order for a request to save to the database properly, I had to save data, specific data, to different tables in the correct order, and figuring that out for me was a bit complex.
Hi, my name's Jake, and this semester I worked primarily on implementing the new disclosure database and also setting up the request details pages. Some of my favorite parts, my first one would be finding new ways to accomplish similar tasks. Most of the tasks I needed to accomplish had previously been achieved by teams in earlier semesters, so it was fun to accomplish those tasks using different methods. Another favorite part would be working with a team on an existing project. It was interesting to have to figure out what had been completed before me while also having to collaborate with the team to add to it. Some of the things I learned a lot more about manipulating data using C#. C# is the coding language that we use to control the website's functionality for the most part. I had previously worked with C# to manipulate data, but I've never had to do it from scratch. And then another thing I learned was how to work efficiently with a team on GitHub. GitHub is what we use as a version control to manage each teammate's individual code changes. I had previously worked with GitHub, but I've never had to use it with others. And that also leads into the hardest part, which was merging into one branch that we all shared. There were multiple times when we were all merging our code, it would take over an hour to get it to a working state.
So for me, some of my favorite parts, I enjoyed learning about new libraries such as the JavaScript data tables library. Um, this library allowed me to create complex data tables more easily. This library is just a third-party code that you're just pulling into your software to speed up the development process and do things more easily. Also, this one's just as a whole, I enjoyed creating new web pages that other WCTC students will use to learn. Previously in other classes, most of your other classes, you're just creating personal projects and assignments that no one will ever see again, whereas this is something that will kind of live on and be used by other students. So that was more enjoying for me. What did I learn? I also, like what Jake said, learned a lot about working in GitHub as a team because as well, I also had only used GitHub by myself. So learning to use it as a team was valuable experience. And then I learned a lot about working with a database in .NET and then using that data in the front end. The hardest part for me was definitely managing massive controller files in our code. Um, these controller files are often in these team projects worked on by multiple members of the team and oftentimes can become beyond 1,000 lines long. The controller files, a controller is the component that handles the user input and interacts with the model and the view in the software.
So my favorite part of the project really was the repetition of setting up structured data. You'll see when we do the demos that there's a lot of drop-down lists, and behind those drop-down lists is what we call structured data. They're basically data tables that an admin person goes in and puts the values in. Um, I learn best by repetition, and so when I started doing it, I'd do one little step, save that up, and then do another little step and save it up, and kind of really getting the different process sorted out. And by the third or fourth time I did it, I could just do it all in one setting. So it really helped me to fill in some gaps I had on how to get those things set up from the get-go. The other thing I enjoyed was helping teammates debug their code. I'm a firm believer that if you want to find out how much you know about something, try and teach it. And it made it very evident to me that I still had quite a bit to learn, but it was still a lot of fun helping my teammates solve some of the issues they were having. Other things I learned a little bit about Razor Pages and how it's different from MVC. Razor Pages and MVC are both architectures, where Razor Pages is considered to be easier to set up, but it has a bit of duplicated code. The MVC is a model view controller. It uses segregation of responsibilities a lot better, and it's just easier for me to follow and tends, from my experience, to have less repetitive code. I also learned more complex interactions with the database. As we were setting up the structured data, we found that some of the tables required additional fields to be added. Some of them just needed those fields to have their characteristics modified or even a field deleted. And I became a little bit more comfortable doing that on my own. For me, the hardest part was understanding and implementing data validation. As you heard previously, an example of data validation is when you're shopping on a website and you hit the complete order and it takes you back to a field that's empty and it's surrounded by this really rude red thick box and it has really rude red text that says this field's required. That's data validation. There are many ways to do that. And in the course of this project, I had the opportunity to work through a couple of different ways, and it helped me understand data validation a lot better. So on to the application demonstration. We'll do a little bit of slides for the things that really aren't that cool. And then Jake and Anthony will show the meat and potatoes of the disclosures module that we set up that shows more of what students will be doing. So when we started, the administration tools really only had about 8 categories to support the existing modules. And to support the disclosure structured data, we added 2 new categories, the disclosure structure and revenue structure. Within those, they have several different types of lists. The disclosure data needed 9 different lists, and the revenue data needed just 2 for now. All of these have similar interactions for admin. They all start with a page like this that is basically just a tabulated list of all the items in that category. Each of the items has its own edit and delete button, and then at the top left, there's a create new. When you click on that, it takes you to the create page, and whatever is required to set up that new item is available to be added on that page. Similarly with edit, it brings forward only the things that can be edited. And then the delete brings enough information forward to make the admin comfortable that they are actually deleting the item that they intended to delete. And it has some of that validation in the background that if that item has been used and they click the delete item, it brings up in big red bold letters that the item is in use and you cannot delete it.
The main page that I worked on this semester was the list of requesters. So a requester is a person or an entity that is seeking information about a patient. This can be a law firm or an insurance company. So this table shows all of the current requesters in our database. And then if you see that details button off to the right of the table, that clicks into the next page that I worked on, which is the details page. This page shows all of the additional details of each requester that are not all visible in the table. And then off to the right, you can see the edit button, which then clicks into the edit requester page, which is the next page that I worked on. This is the big edit requester form, which has all of the fields that are pre-populated from the database, which then you can fill out and edit the requester to your desire, and then you can save it, and then you will have your new requester. And those are the pages that I worked on this semester. Now Anthony and Jake will do a live demonstration of the request portion of the disclosure module.
Thank you, Ethan. I am just going to start sharing my screen here for the group. All right. Are you guys able to see this?
Yes.
Okay. And you can see the app and everything. I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So this is the application we worked on. So this is our home screen. I'm just going to move that out of the way. Our home screen here with the 4 different modules. As mentioned, the module we worked on this semester is the disclosures module. So I'll click that button. And that brings us to a request list view. This view contains all of the requests that have been entered into our database. I'll highlight some of the key features here. So you can control how many entries you want to see in this top left corner drop down here. The search box in the top right allows you to search for specific requests. With our 5 data points in this bar here, you can sort the data points, and then you can manage some of these requests with the details button and the delete button. And then lastly here, what I want to point out is the create new request and requester list buttons. The requester list button is some of that work that Ethan had mentioned in his segment. But for this demonstration, I am going to move into the create new request form. So I click that button. This is the form that I had worked on through the semester. It's an accordion style. It opens to the first section, which is your basic details. I'm going to, for the sake of time, fill out the requested fields of this form, and I'll go through and highlight some features that I like here. So starting with the requester field, this is a dropdown where you can select. So I'm just going to select a random requester. I know I had mentioned modal management in previous slides here, so I'll just display what a modal is so the group can see it. If I wanted to add a new requester to this form, I could fill out this modal. Essentially, it's a form within the form, and I could save that requester. And this is what's preventing that redirect that I had mentioned previously. Moving on to the patient search. This is actually on the back end 2 separate lists combined into one. It is a list of existing patients in the database and then any patient that has been added to a request manually through this form. I'll just show that we can search for a patient. So I'm searching for Bilbo Baggins. I will select Bilbo and I'll move on to the rest of the form. One point I do want to mention are, so for example, this priority drop down or this purpose of disclosure drop down, this is that structured data that Kathy had mentioned previously. So I'll continue to fill out the requested fields here in order for the form to submit. Moving on to the requested items, this was a big one for our product owner. The user needed to be able to select multiple requested items. And as you can see, I'm doing that. And the visual indication is that dark blue color from our theme highlighting each selection. If I want to remove one, I just click it again and that removes it. So as I fill out the form, we're just going to go down into our required fields. If I click Save Request, as long as I didn't miss anything, it will redirect us to the request list. And I am just going to search just to prove that this worked to search for the request I just entered. So I'm searching by today's date. You can search by patient name, requester, almost anything related to a request. I just did the date, and you can see we've done 3 requests so far today. We are going to demo the details of each request, and Jake is going to handle that portion of the demonstration.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so here's the one Anthony just created. So basically what I worked on this semester was the details page. And as you can see from his form that there's a lot of information included in each request. So I broke them up into separate views. And each view has this functionality of edit where you can go in and edit a request as needed or other parts of it. And then some of them have add and delete functionality too. So as you can see here, each one has edit. And then going to requested items here, I have all the items that he added are in here, and you can also add new items as needed using that structured data that Kathy showed earlier. And then you can select everything you need and save it. And you can also edit it in line, save it, and then delete it as needed. And then another thing I'm proud of is my invoice page. So as you can see, there's no invoice currently. So they would be able to come in and add an invoice, filling out all the fields with random numbers and then adding it. And once you add it, you can see here, you can add payments and fees as needed. And this is also using the structured data. And it has the same functionality with the delete and the edit and all of that. And that goes for basically every page in the request details. So that brings us to the end of our demonstration. So we are at the question and answer portion.
Thank you, team. Angela, would you like to speak and say a few words?
I definitely would. So I'm going to have to say this has probably been one of the best teams I've ever worked with. I would say this semester and last semester, they made huge strides. I say that a lot. A lot of you were in attendance last semester when we had the database folks putting together the database for the release of information, or what we call the disclosure system. That was a panic for us when we found out that this piece of software was going away within the year. So the fact that the team was able to get it all up and running was amazing to me, because when we first started working on it, I was told, what are your like drop dead priorities? What are those things that you absolutely have to have working? And it was really hard to narrow it down, and it turned out that they did everything, not just the stuff that I absolutely had to have. So that was awesome. The other thing that I wanted to say is, I know Kathy said that the admin tools are boring, but they're exciting for me because I'm the one who wants to have control over what's in my drop-down boxes. So that is really actually a huge benefit, because as we use the system, we might discover that we're missing something. And then rather than having to wait for an iteration, I can just go in and make those changes. So that's always really exciting. The other thing that I really loved was on the requested items. I'm so used to applications where you have to hold down the control button, or like in Access where you have to select. And if you accidentally click off of it, you lose all of your selections. So I was really excited. I'm like, you mean you don't have to hold anything down? And if you let go of it, it's still selected. He's like, oh yeah, it's all good. So I love that. And I think the big challenge that they managed that I was not sure we would be able to do was the patient selection. This is tied to our electronic health record database. And the purpose of having two different patient repositories is the fact that we have patients that we actually have in our database because they are our patients and we've seen them, but we can get requests for information for patients we've never seen. Sometimes attorneys or whatever will go out fishing for data. And so you have to be able to log and track the request even if we don't have a patient in the system. And they worked really well at trying to figure out that problem for me. And so it was a really great experience. I think one of the best parts of the experience was the fact that every 2 weeks, at the end of the sprint, a new version was published for me to test. So I was able to always know exactly what was working and what wasn't very quickly, which in past experiences hasn't always been true. You know, I would see demos of stuff, but then once I got my hands on it, find out that it really doesn't work the way we thought it did. So that I think was probably one of the most beneficial things. So yeah, I could go on for another hour, but I won't.
Thank you, Angela. Any questions for the team?
I was going to say one quick thing. Vicki Wolf is online, and she's taught the legal class in the past and has had to work with our old software. And I'm just curious to see what she thinks of it, because I think it's a lot more user-friendly than the app we actually used.
I would say so too, that I kind of like the process that they have of selecting things, and seemed like it will work better for our students, more user-friendly. So I like it. Kudos to those who worked on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like Michelle has her hand up.
Hi. Awesome work, team. I'm from the School of Health and worked on a number of EHRs in my nursing career. And I'm just amazed at when I see this and how myself outside of IT, take things like this for granted. And I think you did a wonderful job. So great work. And thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
I do have one last thing to add. I know I should shut up, but I have one last thing to add. In addition to doing this part of the project that was so desperately needed for us, they also did work on the other system with regard to my orders, which also has been very beneficial to us. So they did more than what they displayed for you guys today. So it was a really, really productive group.
Nice work, team. Any other questions for the team or comments or anything?
Just a great job overall on this team. And if I could just take a minute to, I want to make sure I thank everybody too. Great job, students. Really impressed with all the updates and work that you guys did. Thank you, Nikki, to your guidance and support for the students in this class. And then to all the instructors who are on here, Brittany, Patrick, Matt, Tyler, Mark, and those who couldn't attend, just great job. And thank you for supporting the students throughout their whole program. And I know we also have an advisory member here with us today for web and software. So thank you so much, Max, also for attending. And then one last thank you to Allie Jerger for your leadership in the program.
Thanks, Andrea. All right. Any final questions or comments for anyone? We can open it up for the whole thing.
I was going
Good
to
job,
express
everybody.
my appreciation, but Andrea, I can't follow that. So what Andrea said, ditto from me.
Just super proud of you guys. Really good work this semester. And I've decided after watching so many of these capstones that I want to work for Angela because she's just so nice.
Awesome.
Great work, everyone.
Thanks, team. Thanks, everyone. Thanks you for coming.
Thanks,
And now we'll
Brett.
conclude our presentations for this semester. We
Wait,
hope to see
wait. Who are
you
our graduates in the room?
Who's
Who are the
graduating?
Yes.
Tell them Cam's on. Let's go.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay,
Congratulations
okay.
to our
Thank you,
graduates.
Allie.
Yes, we will hopefully see you on
Okay, I'll see
Saturday.
you on Saturday for sure.
Yes, awesome. Just a
Yeah.
big congratulations to all of you and the work that you've done across your time here. And, this is called a capstone for a reason. So kudos to you all. For those of you who this is not your final class with us, we'll see you in January.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That's a wrap. Students, if you could please stick around for just another minute. I have a couple last things for you.
Great job, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Nice work, everyone.
Thank you.
Hold on, let me stop the Zoom recording.